23rd, 2022 Health and Safety Committee meeting. Members present are Dan Wireball, Steve Young, Mark McKeever, and myself as chair. We're going to open this meeting at 6 o'clock p.m. First is public participation. Does anyone have any public participation for the Health and Safety Committee? No, sir?
Well, maybe.
Well, do you want to talk?
Are you going to discuss the firearm issue?
Yes, but no.
Yes, but no.
Yeah, if you have something to say, go ahead and say it, and then we'll hop into that here in just a minute. Or you can wait until we get to that topic. I don't care either way, Bill.
We'll wait. Till
Okay.
that's fine.
Any other public participation? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the June 9th, 2022 regular Health and Safety Committee meeting. That's our part of your packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wireball, second by Mr. Young. Any other further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Wireball and Young?
Yep, I got
Okay,
you.
all
Thank
right.
you.
The first topic is concealed carry. Mr. Stuckert, good evening.
Thank you. Bill Stuckert, 205 North Spring Street. I have kind of mixed emotions about the possibility of carrying firearms inside the city building. As a board member for the city of Bucyrus, there are occasions where I do feel uneasy with some attendees in our meetings, and I would probably feel a lot safer if I was able to carry my weapon. But on the other hand, I think that it just opens up too much possibilities for just anybody being able to carry a weapon into the building. I would prefer actually to see the policy of no firearms in the city building if additional security measures are put into place, such as metal detectors at one door, having one door available for people to enter, and metal detector at that door to detect possible firearms coming in. It is possible, since you do have the double doors down there, to set up a system with those doors that has a metal detector between the doors, the two sets of doors, and have a lock system so that one set of doors can be unlocked at a time. In other words, the first set open until the person passes through the metal detector. It will lock behind them. The second set will open after that person has been passed by the metal detector. It could be set up that way so that it wouldn't require the need to have an officer present at the door. So, any question about
I've got a couple statements about that. First of all, we had actually discussed that at one point, and the setup of the way this building is and the types of doors we have that just have simple bolt locks, we would need to do a lot of reconfiguring on the doors to make something like that work. So we have an expense there, and then there's a lot of chatter about, well, if you're going to have a system like that, you really do need a human being there, because if you are the one who's complying and somebody else wants to force their way in, I mean, there's just so many variables there that I think if you're going to institute a security policy like it, you really do, like similar to the courthouse, you really do need to have a human being there to take care of that.
Inspection, I am familiar with inspection systems in my previous employment, and I know that systems can be set up so that it would prevent more than one person going through that area at one time.
Okay.
So a person couldn't force their way in behind another person.
And I think that's probably something we should look into a little more, and feel free to give us any information you have to help with that. As far as the actual topic, I've spoken with the police chief. The main concern that the resident that wanted this discussed had was the dispatchers. And so I've spoken with the police chief. He is reviewing and doing some research to find out if there's ways that he can allow his employees as the dispatchers to do that without the entire public being allowed. So he asked for some time to research that. So we, myself as the committee chair, I don't feel that we need to go any further with this yet until he's had his opportunity to do his due diligence and then get back with us on what he finds appropriate
Sure.
and not appropriate.
Okay,
So
okay. That's all I have.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any of you have any objection to?
I have a question,
Yes.
actually. So, as of June 13th, it's legal for any resident in Ohio that is obviously allowed to conceal carry now. So is that playing any factor into,
No, this building is still no firearms permitted and that has not changed.
well, no, I knew that. I meant, like, is that part of, like, the reason we are still kind of like, just dispatchers only? I'm okay either way, I don't care.
Well, the building, you can't carry in the building unless you're a certified peace officer.
Yeah, but isn't that what the discussion is? Like, they're wanting, like, Rob Taylor's wanting
Right,
just
the
dispatchers?
dispatchers are not certified peace officers.
Okay,
They're
I thought-
civilian employees.
I thought he meant everyone, like,
He did,
that's what I was asking.
but his concern was the dispatchers that night, they had the gentleman that came in. So that's what started this. So that's the conversation I had with the police chief, and that's where it's at currently. Do the three of you have any objection to kind of tabling this right now to allow the chief to kind of do some research and get back to us?
No, we can table it, but I just had a quick statement, and that, you know, and everybody out there, are we on TV then?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Anyhow, everyone out there, and now, first off, I'm pro-Constitution. I stood up here and swore to it. I'm okay with the Second Amendment, but the United States has a gun problem. There's no doubt about it. We're the 32nd highest rated deaths in gun violence in the world. Almost 4 deaths per 100,000. Canada is 0.47 deaths per 100,000. The UK is 0.04 deaths per 100,000. So why is that? Of the 400 or more Americans died gun-related injuries in 2020 than any other year on the record, according to the CDC. 45,222 total gun deaths in 2020 by far were the most on record, representing a 14% increase from the year before, 25% from 5 years ago, and 43% from a decade prior. And this is the one that bothers me, being in mental health. I don't know how many people that I know have come into our office and have died from suicide. In 2020, firearm-related injuries became the leading cause of death in children and adolescents. Think about that. The leading cause of death in kids. It surpassed traffic accidents. And from 2019 to 2020, the relative increase in the rate of firearm-related deaths for all types, suicide, homicide, unintentional, undetermined, among children and adolescents was 29.5% more. Now, here's the problem. The U.S. has 393 million guns. That's 120.5 guns per 100 people. That's 1.2 guns per person, okay? Canada has 12.7 million people, or 12.7 million guns. That's 34.7 guns per 100, and the UK has 618,000 guns and 30. So the more guns do not make you more safe. We got to understand that, okay? We got 30 times more guns per person than the UK, and 100 times more gun-related deaths per capita. And I'm not talking about some guy walking in here shooting up the place. I'm talking about kids getting the gun off their parents' dresser and people killing themselves with guns. It's just ridiculous. And so, you know, I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to promote any type of opening up of any type of gun carrying, because we've got too many guns. That's the problem. Yeah.
If you would step back up to the podium only to be able to be recorded, Mr. Stuckert.
It's fine. In response to Dan's comment there about the great number of suicides and fatalities from firearms, I do agree with that. But the problem isn't the firearms. The problem is the mental state of the people that use the firearms to commit those murders and suicides.
Can I
Okay.
interject real quick?
Yeah, sure,
Because
Dan. Yeah.
What's the mental state of Canadians and people in the UK? Do you think it's any different than ours? I don't think it is.
Well,
The-
it could be.
And I
It
think
could be
that's
because
hard to know the
there's-
answer to that.
There
The
could be
answer's
a
out
great
there.
difference, there could be a great difference in the mental condition of people there overall as compared here, depending on the economic conditions, social conditions and everything, you know. There could be a great difference in that respect, okay? Now,
There could be.
it doesn't matter if there's guns available or not, you know. People can walk down the sidewalk, pick up a rock along the sidewalk and bash somebody in the head and kill them, you know. It's that simple. They could walk down through a crowd with an instrument similar to an ice pick, walk up and jam it up into the back of their skull, give it a little twist. That person's dead, you know? And that person could go on, the person that committed that assault could go on undetected even, because in a crowd, nobody really pays attention to that much of what goes on. In I think it was 2014, we had what I would classify as a mass murder here in Bucyrus, the Labor Day weekend, when 4 men were killed. Okay. There was not a gun used then. Okay. I think one was beat to death with a frying pan. One was beaten with a pipe, and one was strangled with a shoelace. Now, I don't know what the fourth one was. I don't remember that, but I remember those 3. It's just, you know, and that was a case that man who killed those 4 men, you know, just snapped. It was a mental condition. Okay, so that's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brenton Potter, 902 Maple Street. I just have a question for you.
Okay.
So how can you say that you support the Second Amendment and then turn around and say that you won't support our dispatchers possibly being able to carry a firearm to protect themselves?
If they're trained, I'm just saying, the laws we have on the books are not conducive to keeping us safe. There's more
I
of
just
us-
felt like the
there's more
comment
of
was
us dying-
contradicting.
Dying by guns than any place else.
You think that's the guns problem, or you think
No, I
that's?
think that's the law problems. You look at the laws in Canada and the UK, and they're different, you know.
Your verbiage said that it was a gun problem,
The person
though.
with the ice pick that's walking down the street, he could probably walk in and get a gun, or get one at a gun show, or, you know. There's a difference of being, I mean, we have to have some responsibility. You have to have some you gotta get a driver's license. You gotta get a fishing license. You gotta
Have you ever
like
have you ever
having
went
a
into a
license.
gun store and bought a firearm, though? Have you ever seen that process play out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
So you know that they do take those steps,
They
and,
do
and
take
there
those
is a lot of checking. I mean, you can't, there's absolutely no way to check
notify-
somebody's mental state, obviously, or know what kind of state they're in, but everything that they can
You
do,
don't have to take any type of test, you don't have to take.
there's a questionnaire, you know,
Well,
there's,
for concealed carry,
no, to buy a
Oh, it's-
firearm, there is as well. There's quite an extensive questionnaire about,
well, yeah.
You know, I mean-
It's not like a driver's license or.
no, but it falls back, I mean, yeah, that's their personal responsibility to answer it honestly, but what more can you do? I mean, without taking somebody's right away to buy the
There's a
firearm.
lot. I think there's a lot we can do.
Okay.
And I think that the thing in this country is to sell more guns, sell more guns. I really believe that, you know, that people want to buy, they want more people to buy more guns, you know. It's sexy, it's manly, it's whatever, you know.
That's how everything is, though. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not just
Oh, yeah,
guns.
but, you know, there's a lot of money that goes into that, and,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, just a question.
May I
Yeah,
ask a question? This is about, so when you're researching, like, for example, like Canada, you say they have 12 million plus guns. Is there a leading cause for death and suicide in Canada guns?
I don't know.
Because if theirs isn't gun related, then that would just prove that it's not a gun issue, it's and we have, like you said, our guns in this country outnumber us by a lot.
Yeah.
So, if it's easier to take your own, and this is, I don't like saying this, but it's easier to take your own life with a gun, it's a lot quicker than the other alternatives. If that's the option and somebody's gonna do it, they're gonna do it whatever way is easier. So taking guns away, unfortunately, it's not gonna stop
I'm not
these things from
I'm not-
happening.
All right, we're getting off topic, guys. We're getting off topic. I think we're gonna
Okay.
table this and let the police
All
chief
right.
get back to us, and we'll keep our other personal conversations personal. All right, next topic, railroad bridges. I still have not heard from Ms. Sherrick. I don't know why this is on here, what she wants addressed. She's not reached out to me with that, so, at this point, I'm gonna ask that Ms. Connolly, if you could remove that from our list, and if Ms. Sherrick wants to bring something up again, we're happy to hear it again, but, we don't need this back on the agenda until she lets us know, based on what we heard from the mayor and the service director, that the problem's been mitigated. Next up is updating the codified ordinance, chapter 148 of the city parks and rules and regulations. So if you see, our current legislation under 148.01, all Miller, Harmon, Lionsfield, and any other city park area which comes under the control and jurisdiction of the city of Bucyrus will be operated at the discretion of the public safety. It goes down to paragraph E. No beer, intoxicating liquor, or other drug of abuse shall be permitted to be carried or transported upon or consumed upon any city park premises. And so what we need to do is, because of the DORA going into effect this next week, we need to update that. And so I've got somewhere around here.
That?
Yeah, no, there's
Oh,
a,
that? Oh.
bear with me while I find it.
Back here.
We had a
Oh, there it is.
sample legislation provided. It's ordinance 28-22. It would be if we do request it, that would amend and supplement 148.01 entitled City Parks. And what it would change is under 148.01A, where I just read off the names of the parks, it'd say All Miller Park, Harmon Field, Lions Field, Shines Park, and Picking Park would be added to that section. And then down under paragraph E that I just read, I'll read the entirety of paragraph E as it's been proposed. No beer, intoxicating liquor, or other drug of abuse shall be permitted to be carried or transported upon or consumed upon any city park premises. Here's the new addition. Except within the boundaries of the designated outdoor refreshment area, and then specifically subject to the rules and regulations contained in the designated outdoor refreshment area regulations. Continuing on with previous verbiage, nor shall any person found to be in the intoxicated condition or under the influence of any drug of abuse be permitted at any time to enter upon any city park premises, or once discovered in such a state to remain thereupon. So basically what this is saying is we're adding Shines and Picking, because at the time this was originally written, those didn't exist, and then adding in paragraph E to allow it during and only in conjunction with the DORA and not any other time. Questions, discussion, comments? Mr. Young?
Sir?
Mr. McKeever?
No, I think this is what we need. Now, isn't the mural a park?
The mural is not owned by the city, it's private property, so it falls within the DORA boundaries just fine.
I just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that
we
one.
do not own that nor control.
Right, I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't owned by the city.
Mr. Cameron, representing Projects Inc., was at the DORA meeting and is completely fine with that being considered in part of the DORA area.
Okay, I have no problem. I think this would be, be a nice area for somebody to just sit down and have one of their beverages and.
Mr. Wireball?
Well, the only thing I see is it's saying, well, it's not, it's really not, because it is illegal. It says other drug of abuse. It's basically it's saying that's permitted in the DORA area, but it's not, so. It's just a little confusing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not.
Okay. I would entertain a motion, if you all are interested, to request legislation.
I will make that as an emergency.
Okay, I have a request by Mr. McKeever to request emergency legislation.
I'll second
I have a
that.
second by Mr. Young. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Any open projects within health and safety that anybody wishes to discuss this evening?
This time.
Hearing none. Is there any further public participation for health and safety?
I have a question. Was it the mural at the square or the mural by the ice cream place that you were
The
addressing?
square.
That's what-
Actually, both
Both.
are private property.
Okay,
But he was speaking of the Millennium Park at the square.
that's what
That's
I
where they
thought.
did
Okay.
All right, hearing none, at 6:21 PM, we'll adjourn health and safety.
Okay, it is Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, 6:22 PM, and this is the Public Lands and Buildings Committee meeting.
All right, I will call Public Lands and Buildings to order. Members present, Kevin Myers, Brenton Potter, and myself acting as chair. Aaron Sherrick is not here. Well, we called it to order at what time?
6:22.
6:22. Any public participation for public lands and buildings? If not, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes from June 9th. We have the minutes before us. Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Next, we are updating codified ordinance, chapter 148, city parks, rules and regulations. I think health and safety pretty much covered that, but it is a public land, so I think, is everyone okay with that? Because I guess we do have one different member.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, I brought that up at the council
Okay.
meeting, so I'm good with that. Yep.
Then we're back to, oh, you took that, you had her take that off, that other one, about the railroad bridges?
That was on health and safety.
Oh, that was on health.
That wasn't
and
on
safety.
public lands, 'cause we don't
Oh,
own
she
them.
brought it up, that's what, okay,
Yeah.
there's my confusion.
Yep.
Any open project things, okay. Any more public participation? All right, well, with that, we'll adjourn at 6:24.
So on the top of the, it says health and safety. Doesn't it say health and safety and public lands? Okay.
Health and safety, who requested it.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Public lands just kind of gave their blessing.
Oh, I guess there's a clock right on there, I keep turning around.
Okay, it is Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, 6:25 PM, and this is the Finance Committee meeting.
All right, I'll call finance to order at 6:25. Members present, Mark McKeever, Kevin Myers, Terry Spiegel is absent, and myself chair. Any public participation for finance committee? Okay, If not, we'll move on to approval of minutes from June 9th, if everyone's checked those out.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, none opposed.
I didn't hear that at all.
Oh,
First, second, okay.
all right, next, I see, we have, you have to enlighten me on this. I'm assuming the interim, are you interim lawn director or just interim?
He's the
lawn?
hired hand.
I am the contracted attorney to
Okay,
advise you when the law director is not available.
okay, so, please, I guess, is it up to you to, on the Vicky DeShawn versus the city of Bucyrus? Is that,
That is actually, was resolved or dealt with under the, and I would tell you that if you were going to discuss that, anything involving that except the final, I guess, discussion would be all in executive session because that involves litigation and you don't want to talk about litigation outside of an executive session. The only thing that then you decide on, I guess, is basically finance is whether they, under the executive session, the council has agreed to resolve it, at which point then they might come out through finance and say, we approve financing or authorizing money being transferred for that purpose because it's not necessarily on a line item or not. Any other issues involving that lawsuit should not be brought up because it is basically involving, as I said, litigation, and anything you say could be used against you in that manner. So,
okay, well, that was on my list, and maybe did I miss something?
Is there a
Was
need for
there-
us to go to executive session? Does anybody have any information that needs shared with us at this moment?
at this point, I'm not, nobody has brought me through this, but it's my understanding, I guess, that there has been discussions about the case. I would presume that whatever those discussions are, I don't know if we're at that point for you to authorize monies to be transferred. I don't know.
Okay, well, I think we'll table that since we don't really know what's going on. Oh,
Where did the original referral come from? How did it end up in our package?
I don't know. I mean, there's nothing in there.
What was the, I'm
Why
sorry.
is this on our agenda?
It was referred, on the last corrections I made, I can't remember what it was specifically. I think Brian had mentioned it. Yeah, it was when the last meeting Brian was in, and I had worded it backwards. So it was supposed to be on the next one.
Well, that would have been at a council meeting. I don't think it was ever referred to this committee, to my knowledge.
You're probably right, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because I was typing up the council minutes, I'll look at it. Because she mentioned something. He said,
Can I ask that we stop discussing it if we don't think it was referred to this committee, please?
Okay, let's move on to,
actually, I'm sorry, it was referred to it was in the report, I can get it to you.
Okay.
It was discussed. Brian said it needs to be referred to finance, and that was his exact wording.
Right, I don't recall that it was.
Okay.
okay. So now we move on to public safety.
I brought this up if I could, Mr.
Yeah, go right.
You know, I just want to start a discussion tonight. We had the police chief in here several weeks ago, and he shared with us that we had a couple of officers that we've lost to other agencies, for considerably more money. And I know we can't compete with where these guys are going. Some of them went to Delaware County, and they're making just an absolute ton more money an hour than what we can ever pay them here. More locally, the sheriff's office just mid-contract gave all of their employees, I believe, a $2 an hour raise. I know money's tight, I know we got a lot of things going on, but I want to start the discussion to say, is there anything we can do to try to retain our good employees? We've got firefighters we've lost a firefighter that went to Ashland. We've got another firefighter that's looking at potentially leaving. And, we're bringing people in, we're training them, and then we're losing them. And I just wanted to open up the discussion and say, what ideas, start brainstorming, thinking about it, find ways that we can show these employees some appreciation and try to retain them is all I wanted to bring up. So,
Mr. Chair, I believe we do need to do something, but we have to look at our budget and where can we find the money? And I know the administration is doing what they can to look at where they can get money. And it all depends on, income from
Revenue.
the revenue income from the citizens and, the state just changed one part of it that costs us a big chunk of money when people who work from home. That's why we had to reappropriate money over to the income tax department to give out more refunds. It's not going to be easy, but and I agree with Kevin, we got to do something to retain our safety forces, police and fire, and let alone, we can't forget about the rest of our employees, because we don't have that many. We got service, water, and wastewater that we got, those three other departments that we got to keep them too. I mean, we only have 3 people in the wastewater plant. One goes on vacation, they got pulled double duty. So we gotta, I don't know where the answer is. I agree, we gotta do something, but we gotta really dig in and try to find where the money can come from and what we can do. I agree with you, Kevin, it's needed.
and I don't know, there's not gonna be a great, easy, right answer.
No, it's not.
I know, you guys are busting your tail, I get it. I just, we gotta figure something out.
If I can interrupt, it's, we're in negotiations right now, we have been pretty much all year. And so we're trying to lead to mediation, and we have a tentative agreement with the firefighters and with the mediator. That contract was never voted on, so that's been, several months. And we can't even, our attorney is unable, they won't even respond to us as far as for coming back to the table, see what the issues were that they agree on, now they don't. So with the police department, we had tentative agreements too, and through mediation. And we went back for a vote. Well, that's right when the sheriff's department gave me $2 off. And so the dispatchers approved it, but everyone else turned it down. The difference is the county is much more flush with money than we are.
I understand that, but if we just simply stop the discussion there, then we're gonna lose employees to the county, and it's frustrating to me.
If you ask the sheriff, it's not a low money issue. There's not as many people going into this design work.
I get that, but it's frustrating to see that we're losing people, because we can't afford to keep them. We're spending money to train them,
One left and one came back.
and, those are the stories we need to hear, we wanna hear, but, unfortunately,
Understand.
and I'm not trying to say we wait, hell, you can't wave the magic wand and make money up here.
No, we did both, there's some grants from the state, and we've applied
For both police and fire, yes, there are
the retention bonuses,
that
and those should be substantial, 4,000 or 5,000 per person. It looks like a pretty good chance we're going to get
Yeah.
that, which is going to help. And
our,
then the other thing too, what people don't realize, that we don't get sales tax, and we don't get much on property tax either. And with our 2% credit, we leave it over $1 million on the table. And that would, I presented that idea, but I maybe it's something you want to reconsider, maybe not, it's up to you guys, but, that would solve a lot of problems. We've lost estate taxes, this is what the state's done to us. We've lost estate taxes, we've lost local government share, and now they're ruling on, like you were saying, working from home. All those things are just, that can be up to $1 million a year.
yeah.
So those have been significant blows to us in the last, 5-7 years. And so,
I think it's important, though, that we exhaust ourselves trying to look at what other options do we have. I think that our employees need to know that we care. I think, you know, we need to do our due diligence and look and see, is there a way? Is there something we can do?
we're open, you
Yeah.
know, if you have ideas.
And that's
so.
why I want to
We
start this
just, you know,
discussion. You know,
We're open
because
if you know, if there's ideas.
If I just sit and have an idea by myself, you know, that's just one guy's idea. By opening this up, now I've got a room full of people that are thinking about it, and I just wanted to get it on everybody's radar
Sure.
and let people start coming up with ways we might be able to show some appreciation to these guys that are out there risking their lives for us.
I guess, just real quick, I guess I just want to add that if guys out there, let us know here on the finance committee what we can do. To get you guys, I mean, if we're at a stalemate, let's get back together, let's talk. If you don't like talking to the lawyer, give us a holler.
Well, the police.
We'll pass the message on.
Yeah, we're still negotiating
Yeah.
with the police. We're
So-
right now in the process of, you know, working some of the things out, and, you know, then the next step is fact-finding, and then you go to, you know.
Right, right.
We've been to, you know, first steps, and so.
Yeah,
We thought we had a pretty good agreement, and just, you know, this.
Yeah, well, apparently there was a
The
hang-up
agreement we
somewhere.
had
yeah.
was going to stretch our funds
Yeah,
already, because we know next year, you know, we're going to be losing the GE money, so.
Right.
So we, as the administration is, and you also are responsible for the taxpayers' funds.
that's right.
And unfortunately, we cannot print money. This is what we have to work with. We will certainly can entertain paying more, but we're going to be having less officers, less firefighters. You just can't, you have this amount of money we're going to take in, and that's what we, you know, so.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry, Brent.
Brendan Potter, 902 Maple Street. I think that, you know, you got a lot of backlash over the 2% tax credit. All those people showed up at the finance committee meeting and were kind of upset about it. I think a lot of that came from, and I'm pretty neutral on the subject. I like the idea of a splash pad. I like the idea of the trail at the
Yeah.
park. I like all of that. But I think that if we could maybe pitch the idea that we maybe start with like a half credit as opposed to the whole 2, and in the light of transparency, tell them where their money is going, and maybe table those projects for a while until we're at a point that we can do that.
Well, those are ARP funds. Those have to be spent at a certain time. That wasn't city money.
Okay.
So with our first.
The way I understood it was coming out of a certain fund that Kiwanis was going to pay back.
Yeah,
over time.
that's ARPA money, American Rescue Plan money, and that you only have so long to spend that.
Okay.
And so the first chunk, we bought an ambulance for $300,000.
Okay.
A little over that, we bought police cars. So that took up about $600,000, almost all the first chunk. And so we're investing in the
Can
safety
that not be
forces.
used to pay salaries? Is that?
Oh, no, you can use it, but you know, it's when it's gone, it's gone. So you've got to look for sustainability.
Absolutely.
So, you know, giving an increase out of that money, it's going to be gone. You're not going to be able to maintain that.
I just
So,
know that I've talked to a lot of people that say they would maybe be for paying a 0.5% credit if
Yeah.
they knew it was
Oh,
going to the safety forces.
when I brought the idea, Brendan, I didn't, you know, say you had to eliminate the whole thing. I just say, this is what other cities do. This is
Absolutely.
Mansfield does this, Marion does, Gallion does this, Crestline does this. You know, it's not a novel idea, and it's, you know, so whatever you guys decide, that's your decision, what you want to
Sure.
do.
Sure.
It's,
It was just a
yeah.
discussion I wanted to have. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like
but
I
you-
said, I've talked to some citizens
You good?
that said,
Yeah.
you know, we would be for it if we knew where it was going, we knew
Yeah.
it was going to the safety forces, so on.
Well,
so-
safety forces get about 70% out of every tax dollar
Right.
that comes in here, and that's pretty much state average.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, we do invest in our safety forces, and.
I'm not saying that we
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
but it's obvious that we need
Yeah.
to do something. We need
Yeah.
something more.
And the other thing, you have to balance it with, we have to make our town a place where people want to live. So there's quality of life issues, like parks, those types of things.
I want to live in a
Yeah.
place where I know that if there's a domestic violence next door, that an officer is able to show up,
In,
as opposed to it being beautiful.
well, yeah, but if you look around, the growing cities do both.
Right, we can't afford both at the time. I
Yeah.
mean, that's pretty
Why
apparent.
not?
You said it yourself.
We're doing it now. I mean, we're investing in our parks.
We're not,
Right now.
though. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys are drowning down here. You know, they can't keep people. People are leaving because they're getting paid.
Well,
more.
there's other things there that's, that's other factors why people are leaving. So,
What is that then?
well, I'm not prepared to really go into all of them. It's, but there's,
All right.
it's not just money. I'll tell you, if you ask the sheriff, they gave a $2 raise. They still cannot find deputies. So it's a money issue, but there's people that are not going into this field right now for various reasons. You all know what some of them are. So the money is part of it, and it's very important. Obviously, we want our people to be fairly compensated, but, there's still other issues, and those are things we're addressing. Right now, we're working with some young folks that are interested, have taken the test, that are going through the academy. So the idea that we used to have a test and you might have, 5 or 10 people take it, now we're having to, work with the colleges to recruit people and nurture them along. And, it's a little bit more challenging time for the chief to attract people and keep people, and, we're doing everything we can do right now. Yeah.
Brought up a thought, when you're talking about going after and trying to recruit these younger people, I know we talked about it a couple years ago. Has there been any more thought to us getting involved in the national testing program rather than putting on our own test? That way, if a young person coming out of an academy anywhere in the state of Ohio takes the
I believe we already do that, I think. I'd have to ask the
I
chief
think
on
it's a
that.
little bit of both, and I
Yeah.
think there was a way that I was reading about that they can take this test, that we don't even put the
Yeah.
test on there. The test is basically administered elsewhere,
Yeah,
and
I-
their scores, then our eligibility list could be gathered from a very large statewide region, rather than the people who just simply
I
put
think
in an
I believe we
application.
do that. I'd have to ask the chief for sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear, and I
believe we
can
do that.
reach out to him and ask that too.
But-
I know it's something we talked about at one time, so. Thank you.
It does go, it goes a little deeper. Just I want you to understand, it goes deeper than just money. Money is very important, and obviously it's a very stressful job for the police officers and the firefighters, and they work very, very hard, and they're critical to the success of the city. And so we need to, figure out what we can do to retain them and attract new people. I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
It's just that.
I wanted to start a discussion,
Yeah.
is what I
So
didn't
we're
want to
open
come in and
to-
point fingers, I didn't want to come in and get in an argument, I didn't want to come in and make a decision. I wanted to come in and get it on everybody's radar and get us thinking about it, and think, what else can we do to say thanks to these people for what they're doing, and try to keep them from leaving.
And I will say, just what they did last year for us, 2021, they forego their raises completely because of COVID. And, I mean, that was really wonderful they did that. So we tried to make that up, what they were going to, what they lost last year, and so to start out this year. So we thought we had pretty good packages, but, things have changed. There's been a lot of money thrown out to the counties, and, so it's.
And I was happy to learn about the grant that we put in for, and, if for some reason that comes back to not come to fruition, I think we need to be prepared to figure out how can we do that then.
And the other thing, too, you want to keep in mind as you're talking about that, as you compare us to the county in different places, their insurance program is nowhere near as good as ours. I think our benefits for our safety forces are really tops. And
I don't
so-
disagree with that. I know when I'm an employee somewhere, though, I don't always think about those
Yeah.
hidden factors. I look at, somebody just saying, hey, I want to try to do more for you, I want to try to give you some, I think that's where I'm at with it. I want to
Okay.
try to see a way that we can
Well,
show our gratitude.
The
That's
more
part of it.
ideas, the better.
Yep.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We'll keep talking about that, hopefully. Open projects. Yeah, well, I wanted to just, we need to start this. I know we've been, so I think I sent you guys, well, maybe I didn't do that. But anyhow, this first one, I guess I want the okay from the committee to, I'll bring up the, what this is, and maybe we can get some of these off of here. Some I talked to, let's see, The rates and fee chart, well, I think that was taken care of, but I think it might get put back on. The rate and fee chart, this is from 2016. But I have here that we passed it at 10, it was passed 10/3/17, 47/2017. So I'm assuming that's,
I think if we pass them, that automatically removes
it should come off. Okay, well, I mean, I don't want to take stuff off. And I must have fell off of here, of council about this time, but we were talking about the manpower for supervisors. I never did get an answer on that. That was put on hold too. So we'll leave that on there for now. I need to get a hold of somebody. But do we, that would probably be Joyce would know that.
Excuse me, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman. That's done too.
okay. I'm assuming it would be, but it's,
Yeah,
I'd be fine with removing it.
We changed our billet.
right. I thought we
Billet got
did.
changed on the supervision.
All right, that's why I want
Yeah. Sure,
all of
sure.
us to, and then me to sit there and say, hey, I'm pretty sure we did that. But I did get a hold of Jeff earlier in the year, and I did get those, a couple things off of here. And the Countywide Tourism Bureau, I think that was kind of dead.
That's taken care of. Well, it's not a countywide, yeah.
Yeah, whatever they
It
were.
was addressed and not handled then.
Yeah. And then landlord-tenant water deposits. It says waiting on the service director to present info,
So what happened with that, if I could?
Yeah.
At that time, there were, a majority of the council members were also landlords, and Mr. Ratliff had sought an opinion from the Attorney General's office, and it was returned that we could not effectively debate or vote on that if we were a landlord.
Oh.
That pretty much took enough people on the committee as well as the council to be able to do anything about it, so it was considered a dead issue because of that.
well, we'll take that off. The ambulance service, I think this was all about talking about, us taking it over and all that. I think we've taken it over. I think that's
Yeah.
think that's a-
Yep.
so this was 11/18/21. We closed on city parking lot number 3, it says, so.
Yeah, that was sold.
Yeah.
Sold.
And we never did budget money for sidewalks. No, that's in public lands and buildings also, so I'm not gonna worry about that. The fire department staffing, I think that was for the SAFER grant. I think that's all resolved. There was legislation on that. The water line expansion, we're still working on that, can hopefully forever. 214 East Perry Street, I don't think that's the building behind, 214 East Perry. Isn't it, that's the one behind Kroger, right? Yeah, it has the asbestos, we're still,
So that's being worked on. The land bank was able to get an agreement with the property owners to allow the land bank to facilitate getting a grant, and we're waiting approval, so a brownfield cleanup grant.
Oh.
We should know within the next 2 to 3 months if we are awarded that grant. If so,
because we're the property owners.
we are not.
I thought we were.
We are not. The eventual plan is we will be, but we didn't want to take ownership until it was cleaned up. So what's going to
Okay.
happen is if the land
Okay.
bank is awarded that brownfield grant, they'll go in and they'll demolish the buildings, and then at that point, they'll do testing, because they just aren't going to able to tell the extent of the damage that was done to the soil and everything until the
Right,
buildings are
right.
gone. So phase 1 is getting rid of the building. Then they'll come in and look at the ground quality and see what further is needed done. Once it's declared clean, essentially, at that point, the family is willing to turn it over to the city. So that was the agreement
Alright.
that the land bank facilitated putting in place.
Okay.
I would suggest leaving that on there in
Yeah.
case there's anything else that comes up with it
Yeah.
during that process. So the land bank anticipates hearing back on that grant in 2 to 3 months.
Okay, so this is Bratwurst Festival, that's all done. We've had a line item for US flags on here for several years, and I don't know if that comes around at budget time. And tree program funding, I don't know I guess that's always on there. Airport projects are ongoing. Wagner said that was taken care of, which I figured it was. The UV lighting and see, that's been on, that's how old this list is.
Well, I think to the two you just breezed by there, the flags and the tree program really can come off there, because those are handled within budget
Yeah,
time, so I don't think
okay.
they need their own item on there.
Business income tax rebates referred by the law director. Item will continue in economic development until examples are obtained in other municipalities.
What was the year on that?
2019.
Yeah, that's gonna be Rob.
Yeah, nothing came out of that. I think we probably can close that out.
Yeah, something, I think he had, I can't hardly remember, but I think he had something going on and he was gonna. The garbage truck, that's the one. We'll put that on hold. We purchased the garbage. Resolution number 225, 2020 passed. Did we buy a garbage truck in 2020?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that can be closed out since we had legislation.
You ordered it, but it hasn't come in yet?
Well, we got
It's on back order.
something went over, right?
Well, I can, and the city hall generator, I'm assuming works now,
Yeah.
since we put all that money into it. And ambulance lease contract, we'll no longer need that. And then I don't know, this was council meeting packets and minutes and council treasurer salaries. I think that was, I'm sure that was resolved, salaries back in.
Yeah, that was
2020.
one where we had to increase the salaries to be in line with the PERS, which that is something that we are going to have to address again in this calendar year before the next election cycle. So I would leave that
Okay,
open
I'm
so
gonna
that
leave-
we can have PERS advise us, because if a small percentage raise is needed.
And then the bed tax agreement, we just re-upped that, right?
Yeah.
So we should be good on that. And I did add the Plymouth Street Station on here because we brought that up. And my next step is to look through what's happened so far this year, what should be on there. So I'm trying to do my part because I don't want to. And then I don't know, the CARES Act coronavirus reimbursement, but,
That's all been spent, so.
okay. All right, well, that cleaned that up. I've been wanting to do that. for
Back
about
down to one
6
page?
months. We might be, yeah. So okay, no public participation, or is there? Okay, so we will adjourn at, what you got? 6:53.
Okay, it is June 23rd, 2022, Thursday, and it is 6:56 PM, and this is the plating committee meeting.
Okay, I will call plating to order at 6:57. Members present, Kevin Myers, Dan Wireball, Terry Spiegel is absent, and myself as chair. For you have the minutes for approval for Thursday, June 9th. Any questions?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, all those, since there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Okay, I'm sorry, what is it, public participation? Nobody here for that. All right, we have the public hearing scheduled, but we have to get legislation for the apartment, the AR apartment residential district at the Red Oak Court area. We have to have legislation for adding to the downtown business district, the portion of property at the old Freddy's and the ice plant, and also adding legislation for the property at
It's Red Oak. For the
South Sandusky,
apartments?
1050 South
Oh.
Sandusky.
1050 South Sandusky. So I need legislation, and I would especially request for the 1050 South Sandusky to be as a emergency.
And that's for, the reason for emergency on that one?
I was gonna say,
The economic viability of the neighborhood and for the city of Bucyrus.
correct, it's,
Do you need those in separate motions or all collectively together?
well, I have to refer that to our attorney. I do,
Can that be one motion?
there's 3 separate areas for 3 separate, one for making it a
Well, they're gonna be different pieces of legislation, right?
Yeah, so you're
All
gonna
right.
do 3 separate
Yeah,
motions.
I'll start by asking for emergency legislation approving the zoning change to 1050 South Sandusky Avenue.
And I'll second that.
Okay, there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. And I need the one.
I'll
for-
make a motion for the legislation for the downtown business district, the former Freddy's.
That section area, okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
to bring that into the downtown business area, I guess this was what it was.
right. Do I have a second?
Does that need to be as an emergency or not?
No.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. And I need one more legislation for the apartment residential district in the Red Oak Court area.
Is the developer need that to be an emergency, or is that able to be done as regular?
That's a regular.
I'll make that motion for regular legislation request.
I'll second.
Okay, no other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Okay. The public hearing, the notification has gone out, and it's going out for the
August 1st.
August 1st at 6 PM. Everything is good, we just needed to get the legislation prior to having the public hearing.
Those draft legislations will be available in my office for public examination.
Okay? And if nobody heard that, they will be for public display in the zoning office.
And can you verify that that's what the public notice says, that they're there and not in your office?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah,
We had that mistake
Brian's
before, I just
in.
wanted to make sure that it was verified.
It is
And then,
there.
I don't know if I heard this or not, so were we adding the South Sandusky to the public hearing?
Yes.
Did you guys say that? I'm sorry.
Yes.
We haven't got there yet. I was getting ready to ask if we could make that request to add that to the same public hearing.
I do, yes, you can.
Yeah, I think we have to request, that's what I'm saying, so I'm requesting it.
Okay?
And I'll second that. I'll second that.
If no other discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. So we will have all 3 of those at the public hearing on August 1st, 2022 at 6 PM. Okay, open projects. I'm lacking in getting that list out and looking at it and going over it. If you see anything, bring it up and we can work on that. With that, any public participation? Seeing none, I will adjourn at 7:02 PM.
All right, it is 7:04 PM, and I would like to call the Economic Development Committee meeting to order. Members present are Mark McKeever, Steve Young, and myself, Chair, with Ms. Sherrick being absent.
It's June 23rd as well.
Oh, sorry about that. I would like to allow the public to speak if there's anyone that wants to speak. Seeing none, we'll move on. First point of order is the approval of minutes from June 7th, 2022, the Special Economic Development Committee meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I have a motion from Mr. McKeever,
Second.
second from Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next point of order is the approval of minutes from the June 9th, 2022 regular Economic Development Committee meeting. Entertain a motion to pass those as well.
I'll make a motion to pass.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is the open projects. I was looking over them. We have some dating back to April of 2012, and a lot of them are encouraging businesses to promote the annexation. I know Mr. Wireball is kind of passionate about that. If there's anything he wants to approach the podium and speak on about the annexation, maybe some ideas to possibly move that forward.
Yeah, well, Dan Wireball, 1092 Martha Avenue. No, I just, we've spoke a lot tonight about revenue, where we're going to get revenue. Mayor suggests reinstituting the credit for income tax. I've just been, with that, prices have gone up. We've canceled some projects, pushed them back to next year because prices of things have increased. We've got police and fire needing more money, but there's these places and businesses and homes that are basically on the not even on the outskirts, basically part of within the city limits that are surrounding them, but they pay no city income tax, but they get sewer and water, and I don't believe some of them get garbage, but they get some of our services, and I just felt that they should, they should help out in the community because, a lot of them, if their house caught fire, our fire department would probably be there before, say, Whetstone or Township or one of those other ones. And I talked to the previous chief of police and about one of the businesses out there and out towards the east end of town, and this was several years ago, and he said, yeah, we've made several alarm calls out there, so they show up out there. So they're getting more than just water and sewer and, being that close to us, we run out, the city does. So I'm just, for a long time I've thought that we should, work at bringing them into the city along with any income that they could help us with, so.
Yeah, I just figured
That's
I'd
all I
ask you to come up and speak
Yeah.
on that since that's pretty far back. I mean, over 10 years ago on the open projects list, and you had sent us all out that letter, so. Is there anything else that anybody else would like to discuss?
On that topic, I would like to see us stop saying this is the way it's always been, and at least start the discussion. We started the discussion on safety forces. Let's start the discussion on annexation.
Yeah.
Bring the people in, see what their problems are.
Yep.
See what their concerns are. Maybe we can work out a compromise someplace in the middle that we can work on something.
Right. Maybe the current management or the current ownership
Just open it up.
doesn't know the ins and outs, and maybe we can come to a better
Yeah,
agreement. Yeah.
just open it up.
I agree.
Also, Mr. Chair, Mr. Rostash, correct me if I'm wrong, you may know this, when there is annexation, especially for residential, it takes a period of years before the property taxes switch where that city gets any benefit. Am I correct on, there's some legislation about how property taxes are on when properties annex, whether we agree to leave it with whatever.
That, I can't answer that. I don't know specifically when the income tax would start to.
Well, I'm referring to property tax, and I'm not sure about, I know that, from what I understand before, that there's a period of time it takes. It's not instantly, it doesn't change from once the annex, it doesn't go over.
With the new levy, that's correct. Anytime there's a new property tax levy, that is correct. It'll take a subsequent year before you start receiving funds for that.
Is that what you were going to say, Joe?
No, I was just gonna say, it's really annexation really is about income tax. We get like this much on property.
Correct, I
tax.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
only get,
Yeah, and it's, if you're annexing, considering annexing because of property tax, it's.
right, we're not gonna get much out of
Yeah,
that.
we get about $25 per person a year, and that pays for our health department, basically, contribution to the Crawford County Health Department, so. But income taxes really, so. But there's different kinds of annexation. Mr. Motter, I'm sure, could speak to it, but it was like we did with Aldi, and there's, those are things that, like Steve was bringing up over there, that, you can have hearings on it, and if you so choose.
Okay, I like us to get whatever information we can about taxes and the timeframes and
Yeah.
how it would apply, so that we have the information for the public when we proceed to have these discussions.
Discussion, yeah.
So they know what's gonna happen with their finances.
Just be prepared to answer their questions. Yeah.
We need to have our information,
Sure.
so.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else on that?
No, sir.
Jenny Vermillion, 515 Hill Street. Just a clarification, some people are probably going to be upset when you're talking annexation, thinking that just because they have water, they're going to be annexed. The codified ordinance says other than water.
That's correct.
So it has to be a city service they're receiving that's not water. And that codified ordinance, when was it?
2018, I believe.
2018 was when that codified ordinance was changed?
Yeah, that's so we could run the water line out.
Correct. Correct.
Out.
So it's now 4 years old, and nothing has been done to satisfy the annexation. So what's the point of having a codified ordinance if we're not going to follow through with the ordinance rules? Thank you.
Anything else or any other public participation?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Yes, John Rostash, City of Bucyrus, 1115 Dean Street. But what I would strongly encourage you to look at is the Type 2 annexation. That's really more of a win-win for the City of Bucyrus and the townships, and it's more about sharing tax revenue as opposed to just, going in with the traditional annexation and just taking that area into the city limits. So a Type 2, a lot more communities are going that route to share revenue with townships for a certain period of time, and it's more of a win-win for everybody involved. So I think if we go that route, it's a lot softer approach than a traditional annexation.
Yeah, that was one of my concerns. That's what we need to do, something to.
Yeah, and that's what Aldi's was, as
Yeah.
Kevin alluded to, so let's look at that. Thank you.
I think my concern was more with the businesses as opposed to the residential. I mean, I'd like to see it potentially all happen if it can benefit all parties, but I think a conversation just needs to be had to get the ball rolling.
Right.
So, if there's no other public participation, and seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 7:14 PM.
It is June 23rd, 2022. It is 7:19. 7:18? All right, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
McKeever? Here. Myers? Wireball?
Here.
Potter?
Present.
Sherrick absent, Spiegel absent, Young.
Here.
Consideration of proposed legislation for the first time.
Proposed ordinance number 28-2022, amending and supplementing section 148.01 entitled City Parks under chapter 148, entitled City Parks Rules and Regulations, under Title 5 entitled Administrative, under Part 1 entitled Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Bucyrus, and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to accept this as the first reading?
Second.
I have a first by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Myers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any public participation in the legislation that's been presented? Moving on. Referring back to the originating committee, proposed ordinance 28-2022 is referring back to health and safety. Committee report on pending legislation.
Health and safety is favorable to proposed ordinance 28-2022, the chapter 148 of the Bucyrus Codified Ordinance.
Further consideration of pending legislation, ordinance number 28-2022 for the second and third readings of proposed ordinance 28-2022. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the readings of the caption and text, and declare an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first by Myers, a second by Potter.
Okay, Myers?
Yes.
Potter?
Yes.
Sherrick absent, Spiegel absent, Young?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Wireball?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to adopt proposed ordinance 28-2022?
So moved.
Second.
Was that?
I have a first by Myers, a second by McKeever.
Okay. Myers?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Wireball?
Yes.
Potter?
Yes.
Sherrick absent, Spiegel absent, Young?
Yes.
What?
I forgot.
Oh.
28-22.
Ordinance 28-2022 is duly adopted. The draft legislation for 1050 South Sandusky Avenue will be located in the zoning office, and the draft legislation for the rezoning of the apartment downtown district will also be in the zoning office. Will the business district, the expansion of the business district as well?
Yeah, that's what.
I'm
the-
sorry.
Okay.
I
It's
forgot to have
a
business.
apartment residential slash and then the downtown business district, the three legislations.
Gotcha. All right. All three of those legislations will be in the zoning office for anyone to peruse and ask questions about. All right, may I have a first to excuse Mr. Spiegel and Ms. Sherrick?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Potter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Myers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 7:22.